I found out the kid wasn't mine, but she still put my name on the birth certificate. Now she wants support. I want justice. Hello Reddit I plus here. I had always prided myself on being a responsible man. I was a steady rock for my wife, Megan, and I thought I'd be a good father. We had been together for 5 years before we decided to have a baby. Everything seemed perfect, the way it was supposed to be. I never thought for a second that my life would unravel in the way it did. When Megan told me she was pregnant, I was over the moon. We had tried for a while, and after a couple of months of her early pregnancy struggles, it felt like things were finally coming together. I made sure to attend every appointment, every ultrasound, always holding her hand through it all. It felt right. It felt like the dream we'd been working toward. But the birth of our daughter, Emily, was when things started to feel off. It wasn't the typical newborn worries. Those were expected. What shook me was how Megan kept pushing me away. She'd stop taking my calls when I'd check in during work. She'd be short with me at home, and her trust in me seemed to dissolve. When I tried to talk to her about it, she'd dismiss it as hormones or stress from the baby. But I could feel the distance between us growing. I didn't question the paternity of Emily right away. I trusted my wife. She was the woman I married, the woman I'd shared a life with. I didn't want to doubt her, but a few months later things got worse. Megan seemed more withdrawn, more secretive, and the emotional strain between us became unbearable. And then, there was that night. I came home late from work and found her phone unlocked on the kitchen counter. I never went through her phone before, but that night, something felt wrong. My hands trembled as I opened the messages. What I saw nearly shattered me. There were intimate texts, pictures, all between Megan and a man I didn't recognize, and the date on the last exchange was only weeks before she had gotten pregnant with Emily. I confronted her immediately. At first, she denied it, but when I pressed her, she broke down. She admitted to the affair. She told me it was a mistake, that she had made a huge mistake. But by then, the damage was done. I wasn't angry. I was heartbroken. I felt like I didn't know the woman I had spent years building a life with. She told me it had been a one-night thing, but I didn't know if I could believe her. That didn't matter much to me anymore. What tore at me more was the baby. I asked Megan point blank if Emily was mine, and she swore up and down that she was. But something deep inside me didn't believe her anymore. Something told me to dig deeper. I scheduled a paternity test without her knowing. A week later, the results came in. The child was not mine. I was devastated. I felt sick to my stomach, as if everything I had done for that child had been a lie. I loved Emily. I had raised her. I had nurtured her. I had changed her diapers and fed her. But now I was told I wasn't her father. I wasn't the one she called daddy. I confronted Megan again, this time with the truth. She didn't deny it. She admitted that the other man was Emily's biological father. She begged me not to leave, begged me to stay and raise Emily as my own, but I couldn't. Not after everything I had been through. The betrayal ran too deep. Then came the final blow. Megan filed for child support for Emily, a child that wasn't even mine. She still had my name on the birth certificate, and I still appeared as her father in the eyes of the law. I tried to fight it. I hired lawyers, but nothing seemed to work. I was legally bound to this child that I didn't father, while the real father was nowhere to be found. I was angry, but most of all, I was lost. My entire world felt like it was crumbling around me. I loved Emily, but the situation made me feel trapped. Megan didn't care that I wasn't the father. She only cared about getting money from me. The betrayal I had felt from her seemed to multiply every day. Now, I'm left in a situation where I'm fighting for justice. Not just for me, but for Emily too. She deserves to know the truth. I deserve to be free of a situation that was forced upon me. I don't want to punish Emily, but I can't let Megan take advantage of me anymore. She needs to accept responsibility for her actions, and I need to move on with my life. This is a fight for what's right, for me, for Emily, and for my own peace of mind. At the end of it all, I still wonder how things could have gone differently if I had trusted my instincts earlier. But one thing is certain. Nothing is ever as it seems, and betrayal can come from the most unexpected places. You see, the battle for child support had been long and exhausting. Every time I went to court, it felt like I was being suffocated by the legal system, by the unrelenting weight of the law that forced me to continue paying for a child who wasn't even mine. Megan's lawyer played every angle, making it seem like I was abandoning a child I had raised and loved, manipulating the system to squeeze every penny she could out of me. And to make matters worse, she painted me as the villain for wanting to step away from a child I had spent nearly 2 years caring for. But with each hearing, I held my ground. My lawyer, thank God for him, fought relentlessly. He uncovered the truth, that Megan had not only lied about Emily's paternity, but had also concealed the affair for months. We brought in the paternity test results, which had been buried beneath her lies for so long. It wasn't just about being a father or a man trying to escape responsibility. It was about stopping an injustice from continuing. The most crushing part was watching Megan sitting across from me in that courtroom, her eyes pleading for me to just let it go, to continue taking care of Emily and paying for her. She didn't seem to understand the magnitude of what she had done. To her, it was about securing a future, but to me, it was about regaining the life I had lost, the life I had unknowingly sacrificed. But something inside me snapped in that courtroom. I no longer felt the weight of being Emily's father. I felt the weight of the truth I had ignored for too long. I had been duped. I wasn't some man bound by a certificate. I wasn't some placeholder father. This wasn't my child. And I had been coerced into a role that was never meant for me. The final hearing was the breaking point. My lawyer made his argument with fire, highlighting the facts and stripping away Megan's manipulations. He argued that I should not be legally responsible for a child who wasn't mine, one that had been forced upon me under false pretenses. The judge listened carefully, and I could see the hesitation in his eyes, as though he too could feel the weight of the betrayal in the air. And then, the decision came. The judge ruled in my favor. I was free. I didn't have to pay child support anymore. I didn't have to continue being tethered to Megan's manipulations. The relief that washed over me was immediate, but it was followed by a deeper sense of sorrow. Because in truth, there was no real win here. I wasn't walking away with joy in my heart. I wasn't walking away with some sense of triumph. What I was walking away from was the illusion of family, the dream I had worked so hard to build. Megan didn't fight back after the ruling. She didn't scream or beg. She just looked at me, hollow. It was the first time I truly saw her for who she was, a woman who used me to fill a void, who turned me into something I was never meant to be. She no longer had the power to manipulate me, and she knew it. I walked out of that courtroom with my head held high, but there was a part of me that remained broken. I had loved Emily. I had loved her with every fiber of my being, and now, I was walking away from her, from the bond I had formed, and from the life I had thought we could share. But what choice did I have? I had to protect myself, I had to heal, and I had to let go. Over the next few weeks, Megan tried to reach out to me, to apologize, to beg for a chance to fix things. She claimed that she would raise Emily alone and that she'd find a way to support her. She asked for closure, but it wasn't closure I needed. It was freedom. I blocked her number. I didn't want to hear any more of her excuses or justifications. I had made the decision to walk away, and I knew in my heart it was the right one. In the end, what I had learned through all of this was simple. Loyalty and trust can be shattered in an instant. Love, the kind I had for Emily, wasn't something that should have been forced upon me, nor should it have been taken away. I had been fooled, but the truth had set me free. I left that chapter of my life behind, a part of me forever scarred by the betrayal, but stronger for having faced it. And as I moved forward, I knew that I could rebuild. I could create a life of my own again, one where I wasn't bound by lies, where I wasn't trapped by a past I didn't deserve. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt like I was truly in control of it.